and you probably are very aware of the Emmy-nominated series Sandwich King, fifth season in 2014. So now rolling.
That's a lot of sandwiches.
Now rolling, getting ready for season 6. And Jeff Mauro is the Sandwich King.
Jeff,
born in Chicago, and just fell in love with food like us. Jeff, welcome to the Rick and Bubba Show.
Thank you, Rick and Bubba, for having me. This is awesome.
No, Jeff, this is all
year,
is all our pleasure.
No, you are
this
awesome.
This is all our pleasure
because you build the perfect sandwich. We eat the perfect sandwich.
Well, I can't just let it sit there on the table in the hot sun getting eaten by flies.
No. Jeff, you bring up. We were talking about sandwiches and building sandwiches in the break before you came on, and I remember in college, one of my favorite things to do was just start a sandwich. I didn't know what it was going to be until I finished. And I love that.
You had the same philosophy? Picasso. Right?
Really? True.
I don't know. I don't know.
But you know what? That sounded good, Jeff. I just stay with it. Stay with it.
That's the beauty of the sandwich. That bottom bun is that canvas, that blank canvas, and you can put whatever, and you just go. Usually I open up my fridge until it starts beeping annoyingly at me,
Right.
I don't know what I'm pulling out. I change things. I put this in, but it's a beauty. It can be whatever you want it,
I'm looking
at Jeff, do you have
treat each ingredient right?
Do you have a favorite condiment that's a must for every sandwich?
We must be on the same wavelength because I was going to ask you.
Think?
A lot of times when you're hunting, we do a lot of hunting, to get stuff for sandwiches. And so you can make a mistake with things like scents and things like that if you don't know what you're doing. I feel the same way about the sandwich. If you're a little reckless with condiments, you can mess up what could have been a great sandwich.
100%. People overdo it, and I think that's the number one cause of a bad sandwich. You got to look at it, like you're constructing a tower or a building, right? You need the infrastructure has got to be correct. You can't just start slopping things on there. And then with the sauces, the number one rule is I always put it just on the top bun, never bottom bun.
Interesting.
You do them both, what's going to happen? Slippage.
Oh, no.
Right through the drywall.
Yeah.
Talk about hunting. So you don't need that, 12-gauge shotgun or that rifle when you're hunting deer. In Illinois, we hunt with sandwich slippage.
You just hit on it because there's nothing that breaks your heart more for the sandwich to come apart, and now what once was a sandwich now it's become a meat in three. There's stuff
exactly a plated thing. If you would have wanted yet a meat in three, you would have gone to where you got a meat in three at.
Right.
But in this case, you don't want it because then stuff shoots out. It's messy or whatever. It should be a clean bite. You want to taste all those textures and flavors from the top to the bottom.
All right, you're telling. I'm going to tell you something. I'm married to a sandwich queen.
I thought you were just going to end it at sandwich. I was like, all right, that's my kind of guy. I didn't know that was legal now.
My wife is fantastic at making a sandwich. And I'm not. I'm gonna level with you. I eat sandwiches made by somebody else, but when I'm on my own, and I'm gonna tell you what it is, and you've touched on it, all the mistakes you're talking about, I find myself rushing it. I want to go ahead and get to. I'm not taking the time to. And my wife, she says, you got the meats you're using. You're all over the road. Your condiments, you can't even make your mind up. What is that lettuce you've put in there? Well, that's not the way you put lettuce in. And everything I do is wrong. And so can you just start me at the bottom bun? And I know that you, of course,
walk us through it.
You have varieties of things you use, but give me a basic right way to make a sandwich from the bottom to the top.
Let's start with a ham and cheese sandwich with lettuce and tomato and mayonnaise, right?
Okay, all right.
As the blank slate here. So you got your bottom bun, right? On top of that, a slice of cheese on the bottom. On top of that, the meat, but not just flop down all flat.
Which is my problem.
That's it. Nobody wants that. And then you have all that meat overhang, right?
That's
good
me.
To nibble on,
That's me.
But you want to ribbon it up. You want to create
up and down,
airy height. Boom, right? So you do that little funky move with your fingers. Then,
now, are you creating more surface area with that for taste, or are you just trying to keep the overhangage off?
Well, it's double duty. You keep the overhangage off, but you also create more height.
Yeah.
Thus, makes your eyes want to eat it more.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you have guests or you're serving your loved ones, it makes it look like a professional sandwich.
Right.
Something you put your love into. Then you put the tomatoes, right?
On top.
On top. No, on the meat and then the lettuce.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm cheese. Then I get the meat put on there right, not hangage.
Because you want the juicy tomato to help to keep the meat moist, right?
Yes, and this is an integral part of the tomato.
Yeah.
Hit the tomato with a little salt. Season that.
Yeah.
I never do
Trust
that.
me.
I never do that.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Don't. It's summertime. We're about to get some fresh tomatoes.
A sprinkle.
Sprinkle, just a sprinkle. You don't need to cure it.
Yeah.
And then you hit that lettuce, a nice crisp piece of lettuce.
I'd like to know how you want that because my lettuce seems messy. It doesn't seem like.
Do you go with a single piece or do you like crunchy, almost like it's a salad?
I think a single piece of iceberg, for this sandwich, and the ham and cheese is appropriate. You don't need any more. We're not eating a salad. You just want that kind of, verdant crunch at the end.
I like it.
Yeah, it's just to kind of hold it in there too, and I guess it helps with slippage, right?
Slippage too, because tomatoes love to slip.
Yeah, you're isolating that from the bun.
Gosh,
yeah, I got
starving.
I'm with you.
All right, go ahead.
And then the top bun is where you smear your little sauce or mustard or whatever.
What do you say on this particular sandwich? What condiment would you go with?
Listen, I'm a guy who likes the combination of mayo and mustard of some form, but I think on ham and cheese, I love a good kind of creamy honey mustard.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I would mix a little mayo with a little honey with a little yellow mustard or maybe a little Dijon.
Oh, bring it.
Mix it up real quick, and it makes the sandwich that much more, creative, if you will.
I don't want to get nutty here. Yeah. But I mean, I know what we're talking about is kind of your standard deli. Of course, you want quality of all the ingredients you listed. You want that to be quality.
Mm-hmm.
But now when we jump over in the other night, I had a pork loin on the grill.
I am so hungry.
And I used a dry rub and I treat it like it should be treated, never rushed. My fire's on one side, and I put it on the off side with no fire.
Two-stage.
Yeah, hour and a half or so. Cooking it almost 2 hours, so slow cook. And then, of course, there were some slices left. Now we're dealing with a pork loin that's, it's not a deli cut. It's not cut for sandwiches, but it's kind of, your standard. You slice through the loin and let them lay down. They're thick. Would you build it differently when you're dealing with something maybe you've grilled?
I think where the sandwich builds, the most important part of using a leftover meat like that, like a loin or a roast or something you really want to make a sandwich on, is not in how you build the sandwich, is in how you slice that meat before you put it on.
See, I got to start thinking long term.
All right, so you need a real sharp knife. You want to mimic a deli slicer as much as possible.
Got
especially
it.
If it's cold, right?
Got it.
Too thick, you're going to wrestle with it. Then you're going to get sandwich tongue.
And I just had that. Frankly, I cut the loins too thick. I'm going to admit it. I throw myself on the mercy of the Sandwich King, but I absolutely cut it too thick.
Well, I'm proud of you for that because I want to have you rubbed out for lying on the air.
Right. Jeff, let me ask you this.
Think about the sandwich while you're making the meal.
Is this a faux pas? From time to time, I'll throw a piece of toast in the middle of the sandwich as I'm building. Is that okay?
How you feel about that?
It kind of makes it like too many sandwiches.
Triple deck. You want a piece of bread in the middle of the sandwich, like a club sandwich. Right?
Yes, yeah. I'm just building it up. Is that all right?
I mean, if you're like carbo loading for a 26-mile marathon the next day, that might be a nice
Jeff,
addition,
I am, as a matter of fact.
I knew it.
I might jog over to the deli, but that's about it.
You know what? It has its place in the sandwich world. The triple decker club style sandwich is definitely one of my favorites, and we all grew up with it, and with the turkey and the extra bread and the bacon and the mayonnaise and the crisp lettuce. I mean, great sandwich.